has always either been on the march or in retreat. And usually it's in retreat when good people around the world say, enough. So you can't, we don't want to go to war with Russia. I'm not crazy. I don't want to go to war with Russia. But you cannot let this slide. You cannot do nothing. Now, it's a delicate dance, diplomacy. It's a poker game where you better be careful. If you're going to bluff, you better be damn sure you do it right. And if someone calls your bluff, you better be ready for the consequences. You know, don't get me wrong. This stuff isn't cut and dry. It's not simple. It's complicated. But a real leader knows how to play that game. A real leader knows how to play international poker. A real leader knows when he's got a strong hand. He knows when he doesn't. He knows how to place his bets. He knows how to strategically put his foot down. He knows how to pick his battles. Knows when to hold them. Knows when to fold them, so to speak. If you don't believe me, ask Kenny Rogers. He knows. This stuff, I'm not suggesting we go, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not suggesting we go to war with Russia. But doing nothing is not an option, which is exactly what this president's going to do. That's what he's good at. The only people he's courageous enough to stand up to are, Tea Partiers and people who are the only people he's willing to attack are his fellow Americans who are defending the Constitution. When it comes to terrorists, dictators, and all in all, in general, evil around the world, no, he's not going to confront evil. But he will confront Tea Partiers. You get to see what I'm going here, ladies and gentlemen? See what I'm getting at? It's ridiculous. It really is. Let's wrap this up. Dummy in the White House. Cut to continue.
Evidence must not be tampered with. Investigators need to access the crash site and the solemn task of returning those who were lost on board the plane to their loved.
You see, you'd swear. Okay, stop. It was about 3 or 4 seconds. Well, I can stand. Look, he says that stuff like he means it. Evidence must not be tampered with. It's already been tampered with, moron. Because we have no assets in the area. Well, on the other hand, Russia has all kind of assets, south of our border, I'm sure. No doubt in my mind. Sure, they got assets 90 miles off our coast. Well, you don't want to go over there and stick your nose in, in their backyard. Why not? They're all over our backyard. They're all over our hemisphere. Why not? Carry on.
Ones needs to go forward immediately. The United States stands ready to provide any assistance that is necessary. We've already offered the support of the FBI and the National Transportation Safety Board, which has experience in working with international partners on these types of investigations. They are on their way, personnel from the FBI and the National Transportation Safety Board. In the coming hours and days, I'll continue to be in close contact with leaders from around the world as we respond to this catastrophe. Our immediate focus will be on recovering those who were lost, investigating exactly what happened, and putting forward the facts. I want to point out there will likely be misinformation as well. And I think it's very important for folks to sift through what is factually based and what is simply speculation. No one can deny the truth that is revealed in the awful images that we all have seen. And the eyes of the world are on eastern Ukraine, and we are going to make sure that the truth is out.
Yeah, they're going to make sure the truth is out. We're going to make sure them mean Russians, the guy acts like he acts like what he just said means something. It means nothing. Meaningless. It really is. It's meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. Excuse me. I want to share a story here with you. Shout out to the Washington Free Beacon. Story by Matthew Continetti. I got some good stuff over there at their website. Check it out if you get a chance. An article, The Bear is Loose. Column, Obama fundraises while Putin runs amok. The bear is loose. President Obama has been saying, whenever he leaves the White House to visit Starbucks or sandwich shops or burger joints or barbecue shacks or neighborhood diners, in his increasingly rote and pathetic attempts to connect with real people, Obama, we have been told, is frustrated, restless, bored with the responsibilities and chores of office. He thinks of himself as a bear, intimidating, wild, untamed, and roving, escaping his den. But he is flattering himself. Obama is not the bear, he's the cub. Aimless, naive, self-interested, self-indulgent, irresponsible, irresolute. The bear, on the other hand, is in Moscow. One can trace a line from any global hotspot to Russia and its authoritarian ruler, Iran. Russia has assisted its nuclear program for decades. Syria, Russia is Bashar Assad's arms dealer. Iraq, Russia is sending men and material to the central government. Afghanistan, Putin muscled nearby Kyrgyzstan into choosing our airbase there, into closing our airbase there. Crucial for transport, resupply, and reconnaissance in the war against the Taliban. The contretemps between the United States and Germany is the result of Edward Snowden's breach of national security. Where is Snowden? In Russia, where he is just asked to have his visa renewed. I wonder if Vladimir Putin will say yes. I disagree. Obviously this guy doesn't like Putin. I think Putin's a patriot. I really do. Oh, he's a traitor. Yeah, he's a traitor in the same. He's a traitor in the same fabric as our founding fathers. Yeah, I suppose he is a traitor. Like George Washington was a traitor, and Ben Franklin, which may be a little bit too kind to Edward Snowden, but if it hadn't been for Edward Snowden, none of us would know what was going on. But I digress. Then there is Ukraine, where Putin has been driving events since March when he illegally annexed Crimea. The West thought sanctions would intimidate Putin, would force him into retreat. For a time, he drew down his troops on the Ukrainian border, leaving the fighting to eastern Ukraine to separatists trained, armed, and led by Russian special forces. The West thought it could ignore the situation, a guerrilla war in the east. It was assumed does not threaten democracy in Kiev. The Ukrainian economy returned to its lethargic equilibrium. The Ukrainians elected a president. President Obama, in his speech at West Point, trumpeted his Ukraine policy as an example of our ability to shape world opinion and isolate Russia. What is he talking about? Vladimir Putin is laughing in his face. Ridiculous. Isolated Russia. But he put a couple sanctions on them. Sanctioned a couple of Russian billionaires. Wow. Ooh. Scary. Some isolation, even as Western attention turned to the Middle East, Russia continued to act unimpeded. And the Ukrainian war went on recently when Poroshenko, the new Ukrainian president, retook the city of Slovansk. Putin's hand was forced. Russian soldiers reappeared along the border, more than 10,000 at last count. Weapon systems supplied by Russia to the insurgents became more sophisticated. Earlier this week, a rocket brought down a Ukrainian cargo plane. The rocket was fired from Russia. Thursday brought us only the latest unintended consequences of Russia's war on Ukrainian independence, the destruction of a Malaysian Airlines flight carrying 295 souls. They also shot down a helicopter, too, I believe, earlier in the week. But the downing of Flight MH17 is not the first unanticipated outcome of the war Vladimir Putin began in Ukraine, nor will it be the last. I think it was a brilliant stroke, Hillary Clinton says, of the reset policy the United States pursued with Russia when she was Secretary of State. She has an odd understanding of brilliance. The reset gave us a world where Georgia remains illegally occupied, where Poland and Czech Republic lack missile defenses, where American parents cannot adopt Russian babies, where Russian bombers fly within 50 miles of our Pacific coast, where Ukraine is sundered, where the prospects for ground war in Eastern Europe are high, where Putin says U.S. sanctions against his cronies will take bilateral relations to a dead end. When I hear comments such as Clinton's, when I listen to the White House Press Secretary joshingly earnestly, that's what I call him, say in all seriousness that his administration has substantially improved the tranquility of a global community, I feel as though they are lost in the postmodern funhouse of the Kremlin's non-linear war, as though they, too, are casualties of Russian Moscovoka, of deception, concealment, propaganda, and disinformation. Nonlinear war is the means through which a geographical raider can leverage his relative weakness, writes Peter whatever, Russian, and his vision appeals to a very broad constituency across the world, to those full of resentment for the West and infused by the sense that the global village model is rigged. Russian manipulation of narrative and image wishful thinking and gullibility has been such success that the Obama administration